In today's show, we're going to be looking back at a very busy Tuesday in the NBA with some injury updates thrown in there as well. Then a bit of a preview of Wednesday's action. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Before we get into talking about the 10 games from Tuesday, some injury update news. Ja Morant out for 3 to 5 weeks with a grade 2 ankle sprain. Tyus Jones will likely be the starter. He can be a source of assists and steals. He's an ad. He's a low-usage player, though. It's going to mean Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Jonas Valanciunas, they're going to get big usage bumps. DeAnthony Melton's going to get a bit of an increased role whenever he actually finally returns and plays. You're going to have, at the short term, you're going to have Desmond Bane and John Conchar getting a bump in minutes as well to make up for the absence of Tyus Jones on that second unit. And eventually, if he's actually alive or still an NBA player, Justice Winslow might be able to get some ball handling responsibility if he's ever back even before Morant returns. The other injury news is Kevin Love's out for 3 to 4 weeks with a calf injury. I reckon without an IR, you can drop Kevin Love. There's going to be ups and downs and low minutes with him all season. Of course, Larry Nance is a must-roster player. Isaac Okoro is someone I'd probably be looking to add as well, but obviously not to the same level of priority that you have with Larry Nance. So they're the two injury updates that we got over the last over the last 24 hours since I last spoke to you in a recap show. Let's now have a look at the games. Oh, I don't know what's going on with that screen. I apologize for the poor graphics. Oh yeah, that's right. I pushed the wrong button because I'm an idiot. There we go. That's the screen that I want. It is the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers on a back-to-back here. Well, not back-to-back, but they're playing the same opponent 2 in a row. The Pacers won the first. The Celtics win the second one. 116-111. Jason Tatum played 40 minutes. This is the first game of a back-to-back as well for the Celtics. 27-11 with 4 assists and 3 steals. The shots went in. He got to the line 10 times. Remember, he didn't get to the line at all in his first 2 games. This is more what you invested in. Great stuff from Tatum. Also, what you invested in with Marcus Smart. Yes, the 3 of 10 shooting is terrible, but 17 points, 5 assists, and 3 threes is strong. Tristan Thompson's best game, double-double in 27 minutes with 14 and 10. And Daniel Tice, yeah, he was bad. 4 points in 23 minutes. I reckon Tice is, Tice is a 12-team drop. I think we look at Thompson as a streamer. He's more of a 14-team league guy than a 12-team league guy. But can be some rebounding value. Jaylen Brown just destroyed your free throws. 5 of 10 there was rough, but 20 points with 4 steals is nice. And we've got to talk a little bit about Peyton Pritchard. 10, 5, and 5 for Pritchard. He's a top 150 player this year in just 22 minutes. I think at some point he's going to start ahead of Tice when they go back, or if they go back to a more traditional sort of lineup and push Marcus Smart to the 2. But he's looking good. And I think he's going to be in the rotation ahead of Jeff Teague as the season moves on. So deeper leagues, you want to pay attention. The Rock DJ, Robbie Williams, I thought he was really good when he was out there, but only 11 minutes, 8 and 5. I think he's a 14-team league add and hold for now. And Teague is not. If you got Teague in a 12-teamer, you can do significantly better. Don't worry about Jeff Teague in a 12-team format. For the Pacers, 32 minutes for Miles Turner, 16 and 6, 3 threes, 2 steals, 3 blocks. This is what we know he can do. This is what we hope he can do. It's just the minutes. Will they stay consistent? That's really good, though. And Victor Oladipo, 3 games, over 55% shooting. 24, 6, and 6 with 2 threes. I'd say he's a little bit of a sell high because that level of efficiency won't continue. The defensive stats aren't coming back, but it's great to see that efficiency from him. While Sabonis had 14, 11, and 8. Not his best night. Strong from Brogdon as well, 19, 3, and 7. While Tony Warren Jr., he fouled out here. That's the reason for the low minutes. 17 points. Nothing else. 2 rebounds, 0 assists. Now, in the past, I've been accused of being a TJ Warren hater. Man, you're so down on TJ. at the moment, I'm being accused of being a TJ Warren optimist. That's how you know I probably fit right in the middle of where he is. I still think he's somewhat of a buy low because I can guarantee you he's not going to be the 191st best player, which is where he's currently ranked this season. But he's also, I don't think, going to be as good as he was last year. So he's in that 70 to 80 sort of range, I would guess, 60 to 80 sort of range. Not that level where he was last year. So that's something to pay attention to. But the fouls is what reduced his playing time here in this game. It wasn't necessarily the foot, which still remains somewhat of a concern for me. But you shouldn't be concerned if you are looking for the best place to put your sporting knowledge to the test. NFL playoffs, college bowl games, the NBA season. We're all here. We're ready to go. And there's only one place that has you covered and one place that we trust, and that is betonline.ag. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code LOCKEDON for your 50% welcome bonus. You want to have some, you got some money that you want to throw around on Wednesday's NBA games. There's 6 games out there. I think you're going to be able to have some success because you know the NBA. And if you didn't know the NBA, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast because that's what we're here. We're here to talk about the NBA. So don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Get in on the action. Don't forget to use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Also, make sure you're checking out Locked On Bets, our new betting podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your boy Q and Lee Sterling will have all of the best bets covered for you, so download that wherever you find podcasts. All right, let's move on to the next game. It was the Golden State Warriors. They took on the Detroit Pistons, and they get the win. In the end, it's 116-106. Steph Curry, a bit of a quiet first half, just 6 shot attempts, but ends up with 31, 5, and 6 with 2 steals and 5 threes, a perfect 8 of 8 from the line. He's currently the 7th ranked player this year. There was some panic with Curry, but I think he'll be okay. And I have to give some props to Andy Wiggins because he was shit to start the season, but the last 2 games have been good. He's inside the top 100. He's averaging 27 and 7 with 5 threes, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. And that is pretty good. I don't think we can deny that that's pretty good because that is obviously a really good performance from Andrew Wiggins. And his last 2 games have been impressive. Am I saying that he's going to be this good every game? Of course not, because he probably isn't. But that is some really good stuff there from Wiggins, who in a points league is actually the 69th ranked player.
Giggity!
Over the course of the season, which is impressive. Kelly Oubre finally hit some shots. This is why he was a buy low guy. Now, it's not a great line from Oubre. 14 and 5 with 2 steals and 2 blocks. It's not horrendous, and it's an improvement. The defensive stats were there. He was 6 of 10 from the field. That's good. Blunty. I don't get everything right. In fact, I probably get a lot of things wrong. I do. But what I said about James Wiseman is the first 2 games, he just carved up garbage time. Right? The games were out of hand, and he put up numbers. The last 2 games, there hasn't been garbage time, and he's been garbage. 22 minutes, 6 and 6, 2 blocks. I don't think he's going to be a good player in the NBA. Oh, sorry, let's phrase. I don't think he's going to be a great player. I think he's going to be a solid rotation piece, an okay starter, but there's just too many defensive and offensive recognition issues with him at the moment. Now, he's a rookie. He's barely played. I know. There's a lot of improvement to come, and the Warriors are going to develop him, but there's going to be growing pains with Wiseman, who is the 144th ranked player so far this season. I would still hold him in 12-team leagues, but those big minutes, and Kevon Looney played more than him in this game. Those big minutes that we saw in those first 2 games, it was largely a garbage time factor. That's it. Juan Toscano Anderson started over Eric Paschall. Pascal's terrible. You know I was banging on him at that drum last season with him as well. He's not that good. 13 minutes for Paschall, 24 minutes for Toscano Anderson, but Draymond Green's going to be back next game, so that's going to impact both of those guys. For the Pistons, Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose returned, but they kept Josh Jackson in the starting lineup ahead of Delon Wright. Jackson, he had foul trouble, and that limited his minutes. So he had 17 and 6 with a steal and a block. Now, it was the traditional Josh Jackson terrible percentages type of game, but he's a definite 14-team league ad, and I think he might be a 12-teamer. You've got to deal with those percentages like an RJ Barrett type, but he's at least someone that we have to be paying attention to. In a points league, he's the 73rd ranked player as well. I'd feel much more comfortable about adding him in a points league. Jeremy Grant balled out again. 27 and 7, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He's the 30th ranked player so far. There's some stuff happening here which I don't trust. The huge minutes, the huge usage, and it helps that Blake Griffin didn't play in the second half with a concussion, but Griffin is always going to miss time. So Grant, there were people asking me, man, do I drop Jeremy Grant after the first couple of games? This is why you don't. Now, I don't think he's this good, so he's probably moving into sell high type territory, But that's really good stuff. He's the 36th ranked player in points leagues. Derrick Rose was shithouse to begin this game, but came home strong, 15 with 7 assists. And Killian Hayes out with an ankle injury. 0 points in 17 minutes. I still maintain that Hayes is going to be good, and I think he's going to have value at the end of the season. But in a compressed schedule, if you don't want to hold on to a guy who's hurt, who's seeing limited minutes, by all means, move on. I understand that completely. We also talked about this yesterday and saying Mason Plumlee, who normally kills your free throw percentage, and he'd taken 1 and he'd made it over 3 games. Well, today he took 4 and missed 2 of them. This is the problem with him. He also missed all 5 of his shots from the field, which won't continue to happen, so he will be better than this, and he remains a 12-team league guy. But Isaiah Stewart, he's going to be the backup center on this team pretty easily. He's going to be ahead of Jaleel Okafor. Yeah, I think he's there already. 6 and 7 with 2 blocks for Stewart. Deeper leagues, add him. 20s, 18s, 16s, I think you want to look at him. Svi Mikhailiuk didn't play at all really in the first half, came on late. Sekou Doumbouya looks to be behind Sadiq Bey, who played 15 minutes and started the second half for Blake Griffin. Well, Delon Wright, just the 28 minutes, 5 points with 3 assists. So the minutes are still good. And if you've got him in a 12-team league, I reckon you still want to hold him. But it's obviously frustrating to see Josh Jackson take that role. The Pistons are 0-4, so there's going to be changes happening at some point with this squad. But it is a little bit frustrating if you do have Delon Wright. The next game is the Raptors and the Sixers. The Sixers win 100-93. The Jedi, OG, Anunoby.
But what about Scarves?
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
Just for old time's sake.
Hello there.
20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals, 1 block, 4 threes, 64%. And it wasn't even on high usage, under 15% usage, but the shots went in. Now, they won't continue to go in like that. He won't continue to have 5 steals, but that was awesome. Again, people asking me to drop him. Under absolutely zero circumstance do you drop him. Lowry had 24, 8, and 9. Awesome. Siakam, 20 points. Yeah, shit efficiency, 35%. And Siakam's been a little bit disappointing this year, but the volume was nice, while Van Vliet has also been disappointing. I think Fred is a buy low. 8 points on 12 shots is horrible, but 6 rebounds, 2 threes, 6 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Good numbers overall, apart from that shooting percentage for Van Vliet. Really good stuff, though, from Anunoby, Lowry, Siakam. I don't know why we got 22 minutes of Stanley Johnson. Actually, that's not fair, because he played well. He had 2 steals, he had 8 rebounds. I'm not going to get too worked up about it. Aaron Baines is a 12-team drop, 2 points in 22 minutes, and I know everyone's itching for me to talk about the wiki Chris Boucher. 5 minutes for Boucher. He had 1 rebound. He missed all 3 of his shots. Remember how 8 hours ago, 12 hours ago, whatever it was, I recorded a Sell High podcast? Got to sell Chris Boucher? This is why. Now, the thing is that I have said this repeatedly. I think nearly all of you will have heard me say this at some point, and if you haven't, you must be a new listener to the podcast. You would have heard me say it at some point. Nick Nurse does not trust Chris Boucher. I've said that multiple times, right? I've said it consistently. He does not trust him. Boucher went, by the way, from the 7th ranked player to the 68th ranked player after today's game. That is worth looking at. He's 97th in points. He does not trust him. And when you have to match up against Joel Embiid, he is going to get destroyed. And that is what happened. He was in there and he just couldn't stick. This is what will happen with Boucher. I would not be leaving him on any waiver wire, but this is why you have those concerns with him and his playing time, because he'll be up and down. Now, there are people going crazy. What are you doing, Nick Nurse? You got to play this guy. How do you expect him to learn if he doesn't play? This dude is not young. He is who he is. He is not this young star you need to develop. He is older than Alex Len. I'm not saying that Alex Len is a good player. I'm also not saying that Chris Boucher is a good player. Boucher has some value, for sure. But let's not kid ourselves that he's this top 20, top 30 fantasy guy and an elite starting player in the NBA, because he's not that at all. So while I do think it is silly that he played only 5 minutes, and the Raptors, some of their rotation decisions are frustrating. Malachi Flynn should be playing. Stanley Johnson probably shouldn't be. But this is what was always going to happen with Boucher. We talked about it plenty of times. Norman Powell, man, he is shithouse. I was down on him. I didn't think he'd be the 282nd ranked player. 6 points in 18 minutes, a steal and a block. Can't get anything going. He looks fat. I'd drop him in 10s. I'd probably drop him in 12s. He is a points guy and a threes guy. There is 2 categories. And when the minutes aren't there and when the shots aren't going in, he is giving you nothing. Nothing. Drop him. For the Sixers, Joel Embiid went off. Hurt his leg, came back on, played 38 minutes and had 29, 16, 4 with 2 steals and 2 blocks. Whew, I think his back's all right. That's good. He'd be loving the fact that Marc Gasol doesn't play there anymore because Gasol's killed this guy. And we talked about this yesterday, saying I think it's a good contrarian DFS option. How about the thick hogsman, Tobias Harris?
I think I am a TH.
T to the H.
Yeah, TH for life.
Another guy that people literally were telling me, asking me, should I drop this guy? Like, what? 26 and 11. A Richie Beno.
2 for 2.
3 assists. 55% shooting. A fantastic night. He won't be this good. He's the 36th ranked player currently, but that's really good. Seth Curry, 17 and 6, 3 threes, a steal and a block, 4 assists. Huge numbers from Seth. Probably should be on a 12-team roster. Well, Simmons had 11, 13, and 7 with a steal and a block. Not great from Ben Simmons. You would hope for a little bit more from him. Not the greatest. Shake Milton, he can shake his ass out of here. I've never seen so many Dutch rudders coming from a coach for a below-average player than Doc Rivers was giving Shake Milton. He can score sometimes. He's like Norm Powell, but worse. I don't think he should be a must-roster 12-team league player. I think you can move on from him. Danny Green did what Danny Green does, 2 steals and 2 blocks. That is what Danny Green does. He gives you those defensive numbers while doing very little else. Built Go does more than that, though, because Built Go is the best replacement for your energy drink you can find. It's a little energy gel sachet in the easy-to-take 1.5-ounce packages that comes in 3 delicious flavors. Peanut butter honey, that one's not my favorite. Chocolate coconut, that's a ripper. And chocolate mint as well. The best workout gel on the market. It's 5-hour energy without that crash feeling. It's natural, so it's better for your body. And it's not just energy gel, it's combined with collagen protein. The collagen protein is fast absorbing and it gets into your system fast, plus it's easy on the stomach. It's loaded with the good stuff, beta-alanine, B3, B6, B12, honey, and a kick of caffeine. The collagen in there promotes joint and soft tissue health, along with hair and skin health. Makes you look lustrous. It makes you look better. Visit BuiltGo.com. Use the promo code LOCKED, and you'll get 20% off your next order. The promo code is LOCKED for 20% off at BuiltGo.com. Let's go. Let us go indeed on to the next game. It is yours, mine, the Chicago Bulls. They get that victory, 115-107 over the Wizards. People panicking about Kobe White as well. 18, 5, and 6 on 43% shooting. Man, he's going to get benched. They're going to start Satoransky. Some Bulls reporter, they're going to start Garrett Temple. They're not. It's not going to happen. Kobe White is fine. He's coming good. That's great. Levine, 23, 5, and 6 with 4 steals. Good from him as well. While Satoransky, off the bench, he's a good assist streamer. 10 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. I'm a little bit worried about Patty Williams, though. 20 minutes for him. 12 points, 2 threes, while Otto Porter played 29. I don't think Williams is going to move out of the starting lineup, but this was a game where Thad Young was active and they didn't play him. I'm a bit worried about what Williams' minutes are. If there is someone on your waiver wire that you want to take a flyer on, if you want to stream, I think that Williams as a drop, it might make a little bit of sense. Big Wendell Carter had 10 and 12 with 3 assists, so not as good as against the Warriors, but still not too bad here. While Otto Porter had a nice 16 points with very little else. I think Porter is probably... I actually dropped Porter today in a 12-team league. I can't remember who it was to add, but I did drop him. I don't think he's a must-drop guy across 12s, but I would consider. I'm not sure his upside's that high. Lauri Markkanen suffered that calf or re-aggravated that calf issue. 9 points for Markkanen in only 19 minutes. I'd have to assume that he is going to miss some time now after having that calf problem obviously be a problem again. Bit disappointing to see the start of the season, or really the start of his career, the way that Markkanen has gone, and maybe that pushes Thad Young into the rotation, or maybe Porter moves to power forward, which I believe that's his best position. I also believe that's Patrick Williams' best position. For the Wizards, Russell Westbrook returned, played 38 minutes. He had his 3rd triple-double in his 3rd game, and the Wizards had their 4th consecutive loss. 21, 15, and 11 for Westbrook. The shot was great, 53%. He hit both his free throws. From a fantasy point of view, you could not ask for anything more. Same with Bradley Beal, who had to go into the concussion protocol and then came back and had 29 points in 37 minutes. Davis Bertans started the second half ahead of Isaac Bonga, 20 points, 3 threes. If Scott Brooks was fair income, and he's not, but if he was fair income, Bertans would permanently be the starter over Rui Hachimura. He would start, but I don't know if they will. This is what we've been waiting to see for Bertans. He also, uncharacteristically, had 9 free throw attempts. He hit all 9 of them, but that is not what we expect from Bertans. Denny Avdia, solid across the board. 9 points, 3 threes, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. Avdia is the 127th ranked player. He's 151 in points leagues. I think he's a drop in points. I think he's fine as a hold in 12-team leagues, but Hachimura is going to have an impact. The tank, Tom Bryant, not the best. I think he's a good buy low. 13-6 with 2 blocks. Really, the reason why he's down here is because the free throws were shitouts, 40%. He'll be better than that. Well, Isaac Bonga didn't do too much in this one. 0 points in 16 minutes. I think Brooks is struggling a lot. I reckon he is a real risk to get fired this season, if we're going to be completely honest, which I like to be. The next game, the Knicks. The rampaging Knicks. They beat the Cavs 95-86. How about the double royal Julius Randle? Of course, full Tom Thibodeau mode, 44 minutes, 28, 12, and 11 with 4 threes. Now, I said that he was a sell-high player. I maintain he is a sell-high player because he was a perfect 4 of 4 from 3. The assists, fine. They are using him as a point guard, and I think that can continue. The three-point shooting absolutely will not. It will not continue. It will drop off. Now, when I say sell high, that doesn't mean sell him for an 80th ranked player. It means see who wants to buy him as a top 20 guy because he's the 14th ranked player at the moment. In a points league, he's even a better option because he is the 13th ranked player, and I think he can maybe be a top 25 guy in points league. So watch what you do in terms of a sell high there with Julius Randle. 41 minutes for Reggie Bullock for some reason. 17 points with 7 rebounds, 5 threes, a steal and a block. But remember, no Alec Burks, no Obi Toppin, no Emmanuel Quickley, no Austin Rivers, no Dennis Smith Jr. So there was some lack of guard depth there. Bullock is a nice 3-point streamer. Nerlens Noel. I still maintain that he's a drop, but this is what Noel does. 16 minutes, 2 steals and 3 blocks. You want defensive stats? Noel will bring them. But the fact that he played 16 minutes and Mitchie Robinson played 32 gives you enough to indicate that maybe Noel's not that must-hold guy. Now, Robinson wasn't that good, but 9 and 10 with 2 blocks and a steal is fine, and he's staying out of foul trouble. Robinson did have 4 fouls, but played 32 minutes. And Lord Alfred Payton, with every other guard out, had 14, 8, and 7. I'd have him in 12s, and let's just see where it goes when everyone returns. Roland Barrett Jr., it was good on opening night. He's now the 154th ranked player. Despite playing 37 minutes a night, he had 39 here, 12 and 7, 2 steals, and couldn't hit anything. 27% from the field with 100% from the line, which is a little bit of a surprise to see him hit all of those free throws. For the Cavs, Andre Drummond, holy shit, 18 and 17, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 4 of 10 from the line's a disaster, but he is just absolutely racking up the numbers. And in a points league, Andre Drummond is your 3rd best player. He is not... Remember we had those worries? Oh, yeah, they're not going to play him. Remember what happened when he went to Cleveland last year? And I did try to tamper those down, saying, well, the last 3 games, he played 30-plus minutes. I didn't expect this. He is going crazy. Larry Nance is a must-roster player. 9 and 6, 3 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. No Kevin Love. Roster him. While Darius Garland, the assist dropped off. The shooting dropped off. But he was still excellent. 17, 5 and 6, 2 steals and 3 threes. I think he might actually be good. The Padawan Colin Sexton, usually he's an efficient scorer. He wasn't here. 20 points in 41 minutes on 35% shooting, but 7 of 8 from the line is great. 4 assists and a steal. And the worry you have with Sexton is when the shooting is not great, what else is he bringing? But still, he's been awesome this year. Garland's been better, but Sexton has been really, really strong. It wasn't great for Chetty Osman. 6 points on 12 shots. Now, he'd been coming in, bombing away, and been on fire. That didn't happen here. He bombed away. He wasn't on fire, though. And I think Isaac Okoro is going to take that position back relatively quickly once he is healthy. The next game was... I don't know why I've got that Knicks logo up there. That is incorrect, so I'm going to just try and refresh that. All right. That's better. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat. Absolute ass-kicking this one. 144 Bucks, 97 the Heat. It's not a huge amount to talk about from the Bucks side of things. Gianni's struggling. 9, 6, and 6 with 3 steals for Antetokounmpo in 24 minutes. He's the 99th ranked player this season. Is there a buy low opportunity for Antetokounmpo? Maybe. It's going to be really, really tough to pull off. Bobby Portis also playing pretty well. 11 and 9 in 26 minutes. I think he's more of a 14-team league guy than a 12-teamer. While Drew Holiday got back on track, 24 with 7 assists and 6 threes, and Middleton just cannot miss. 77% from the field for Middleton, who is the 5th ranked player in fantasy this year. In a points league, Middleton is 20th, so that shows the difference or how much of an impact his field goal percentage is actually having on his overall ranking. Also for Giannis the 18th ranked player in points, 99th ranked player in categories because of the horrible impact of his percentages. The big Ragu had 17 points with 5 threes and 2 steals. He remains a must-roster player, while Brook Lopez got hot, 14 points on 5 shots, didn't block any shots, and he's struggling a little bit, but I'm still holding him. For the Heat, there was no Jimmy Butler. They started Mo Harkless and Myers Leonard. That lasted not long at all. 2 minutes for Leonard, 3 minutes 44 for Harkless, and they were never seen again. It was KZ Okpala who started the second half, along with Avery Bradley. Bradley was pretty good. 14 points with 4 threes in 24 minutes, and he's the 81st ranked player so far. I'm not adding him in 12-team leagues, but he's a 14 to 16-team league option. Tyler Hero had 23 with 7 assists, and Adebayo had 12, 6, and 4. But this team really missed Jimmy Butler. Kendrick Nunn. Even with Jimmy Butler out, Nunn was the 11th man to play, but then somehow ended with 31 minutes. A lot of that's garbage time. He had 15, 3, and 6 with a 1-1 and took 17 shots for a usage of 27, which is almost the highest on this team. I'm not buying much into that. He's still just a deeper league guy. I'm keeping an eye on KZ Okpala. 3 points in 27 minutes, but he played 27 minutes. I think there's a chance he might actually start the game, especially if Butler is out on Wednesday against the Bucks. Keep an eye on Okpala for deeper leagues, while Precious Achiuwa had 10 points in 18 minutes. Dunk Robinson struggled, 4 points in 24 minutes. Robinson in a points league is the 168th ranked player. He's not a 12-team league guy in a points league. In a category league, he is, but remember, he's a points and threes guy. He did have a 1-1, amazingly, in this game, but I think he gets a little bit overvalued by some people. He's a back-end roster guy. It was also an absolute turd burger from Goran Dragic. Just 10 minutes for Dragic. He will be better than this. It is a back-to-back, so I guess once this game was a blowout, Spoelstra just said, mate, there's no need for you to be out there. Just come and take a seat with me, and that enabled those big minutes for Kendrick Nunn and for Avery Bradley and for Tyler Hero to really start to step it up for this team. Not that it mattered in terms of end result or anything. The next game, a real interesting one. The Magic, the undefeated Magic, beat the Thunder 118-107. Nikola Vucevic, 28, 10, and 5, continues to be just absolutely rock solid. How about my mate, the Baconator, Dwayne Bacon? 23 minutes, 18 points with 8 rebounds. Do not do anything about this. He was 9 of 10 from the field. That is something that will literally never happen again. Do not do anything with that from Dwayne Bacon. Fournier had 14 points, not bad. Fultz struggled, 11 points, but hit both his free throws. He had 10 assists. He played 32 minutes. It's the 16 field goal attempts and 25% shooting that's a bit worrisome. Don't worry, he is a 12-team league guy, obviously. Michael Carter-Williams had 4 and 8. I've seen people with Cole Anthony as a 12-team guy. No, he's not. He's not a 12-team league guy. And also something I mentioned, Terrence Ross. He was never going to continue to be as good as he was. He wasn't here, 14 points with not much else. He still is a 12-team league guy, and Aaron Gordon still working his way back from that hamstring, 12 and 5 in 22 minutes. Gordon might be a bit of a buy low guy, considering he's the 139th ranked player at this point, and in points leagues, he's 106. So there's a little bit of a buy low window there. For the Thunder, no Al Horford, no George Hill. I talked about this on the pregame show. I said I want to watch for Isaiah Roby. Roby played 28 minutes. He had 19 and 7 with a steal and 2 blocks. He puts up numbers whenever he plays. He should be the backup center ahead of Mike Muscala. I don't know whether it will happen. He won't really play much outside of those games Horford misses, but he is an awesome stream on those days, an awesome DFS option, and I think he should be the backup center. He was great. 19 and 7 with a steal and 2 blocks. Shea is basically everything we wanted. 23, 7 and 7, and Muscala was pretty good as well. 14 points in 20 minutes. Justin Jackson went from not playing to being in the rotation and doing what Justin Jackson does, and that is literally a big pile of nothing. 8 points in 29 minutes, while Pokusevski had 2 blocks in 19 minutes. I don't think we need to hold him in 12-teamers. We talked about Lou Dort, how what he did was unsustainable. 15 points in 29 minutes on 43% shooting. That was obvious that was going to be the case. And I think we're in a bit of a buy low for Darius Bazley. 6 points on 21% shooting. He had 2 blocks. He had 6 rebounds. If anyone drops him, he's an immediate scoop. Dort is still a must-roster player, by the way. But if anyone drops Bazley, he is an absolute scoop. While Teo Maledon, 20 minutes in every game so far, hasn't really got it going. 7 points in 20 minutes. I thought we'd see a little bit more Teo in this game, but it was Justin Jackson who inexplicably got those minutes because Justin Jackson is just not a good NBA player. Maledon might not be a good NBA player either, but at least he's got the potential to be that. Justin Jackson does not. But the Thunder go down in the end, but really intriguing from Roby. Roby's a 20-team ad. I drafted him in 30 deep. That's obviously just a massive performance. He's just not going to play that, but if Al Horford is traded, then who knows who comes back, but he would be a must-roster player in that case because he saw it in preseason. When he gets the minutes, he will put up the numbers, and he did it here, just going right along. Really, really interested to see what Roby can do for the rest of this season. All right, so let's go on to the last group of games now. We've got the Phoenix Suns. They smashed the Pelicans 111-86. It was a rough night. Let's start with Eric Bledsoe, who was terrible. 7 points in 24 minutes, 2 assists, no threes, 1 steal. He actually shot the ball well. He was just completely disengaged and disinterested. I'm not sure that he is a drop yet. I'm also not against it. I think that we could have JJ Redick or Josh Hart getting into the starting lineup. I think Bledsoe could be traded. It's looking rough. If you want to be proactive, I can see that being a move that you could make. Ingram wasn't great. He was all right, 13, 6, and 6. Adams had 11 and 8. Zion had 20 points and nothing else. 2 boards, 0 assists, and 1 steal. He was 69% from the field.
Giggity!
But only 2 of 6 from the line. Like, that's a real problem with the Williamson, who is now the 80th ranked player this season. And it was a poor night from Josh the Hitman Hart as well, who's more of a 14-team league guy. Shit one from Lonzo. He's not a drop. He's a must-add everywhere. 7 points in 23 minutes for Lonzo. I've heard of waiver-wise he's available. That's why I said he is a must-add player. For the Suns, Jay Crowder.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
21 points in 21 minutes. Do not buy it. I do buy Cam Johnson a little bit. 18 points with 4 triples in 22 minutes. He's not the greatest option. He is top 100 so far this season, and that's for his high efficiency threes and that volume of threes, but he added some steals and blocks in this game too. 1 steal, 2 blocks to be precise. McCall Bridges had 2 steals with 13 points. He, of course, is a must roster. And how about... Now, I'm going to take a second here just to gloat. In fact... I've got this with me, so I'm gonna toast myself here. You can't really see it on the screen, but Cameron Payne. I have been on the Cameron Payne bandwagon for a long time, and I look silly. Let's be honest now. He's good. He's not great. He's not very good. He is good. 23 minutes, 13 points, 7 assists. Cameron Payne is a top 150 fantasy player this year. He should be rostered in every single 16-team league, every single 14-team league, and when Chris Paul sits, Cameron Payne is probably going to be a 12-team league guy. Cameron Payne. DeAndre Ayton. Maybe he's not good. I'm not sure he is. He's soft as shit. I know that much. He's just, and by that I mean I don't mean he's soft as in like he's a soft cock. I mean he's just passive. He's not aggressive. It was always a horrible pick that they picked him at number 1 over Luka Doncic. Continues to look worse. He just is inactive. He's just not right at all. He's a buy low in that regard, but he's not right. Devin Booker's a buy low too. 8 points in 26 minutes for Booker with 6 rebounds and 2 threes. He will be better than this, but buy low, he's outside the top 50 at the moment. While Dario Saric made his debut, 14 minutes, 10 points. He is primarily going to be the backup center on this team, so don't get excited about him. He's just a deeper league guy, and that is realistically it. Next up, the Clippers, they beat the Wolves. They beat the arse off them. Josh Okogie and Karl Anthony Towns were out for Minnesota, so they changed it up. Jake Layman went to the bench, finally, and Ricky Rubio started. Rubio had 17 points with 5 assists in 26 minutes. I don't know whether they'll continue that, but his assists are valuable enough to keep. While D'Angelo Russell had 22, 3, and 4 with 2 steals. Good bounce back from him. Keep an eye on Jared Vanderbilt. I said this last time they played. 16 minutes, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. Their power forward position is the worst in the NBA by a country mile. And he is the best performing out of those guys. Keep an eye on Vanderbilt. They started Jarrett Culver there, and he somehow went 0 of 10 from the field. He had 10 boards with a steal and a block, but 0 of 10 is just remarkably bad. I don't know how you can be that bad. He's more of a 14 to 16 team league guy. While Malik Beasley, for all of Malik Beasley's people frothing him, he's not even a top 150 player this year. 19 points on 31% shooting. He doesn't do anything else apart from score. In a 10-team league, he's not a must-roster player. He's going to get suspended. And Edwards is going to eat into some of his minutes. He's not that good. Naz Reid had 11 points in 20 minutes. He's fine to have as a 12-team league replacement, while Anthony Edwards is also struggling a bit. He's just the 150th ranked player so far. 12 points, no rebounds, no assists, no steals, 1 block, 40% shooting. It is tough as a rookie coming in at this point of the year, but you know that I wasn't that high on him. You can do better in a 12-team league. For the Clippers, Paul George was great in minimal minutes, 18, 6, and 5 in 29, while Ibaka had 16 and 8 in his 22 minutes. It's not bad from Serge. Probably more of a 14-teamer, but in a 12, he's fine. Good game from Lou Williams. 20 points with 5 assists. That brings him to be the 235th ranked player. You can do better than Lou Williams in 12-team leagues, so don't worry about holding on to him. Paddy Beverly had 12 points in 22 minutes, while the Duck, Luke Kennard, I like Luke Kennard. I'm just not sure there's enough opportunities with the Clippers for him. He had 15, 3, and 4 in his 28 minutes, and I think we can move on from Nick Batum. 7 points in 24 minutes for Batum with 5 rebounds and 3 assists. There's ways to do better than that on the waiver wire than Nick Batum at this stage. Let's move on to the last game of the night. Well, there is a little bit to talk about, and let's start with the Denver Nuggets and Big Chungus Nikola Jokic. Another triple-double. Unfortunately, they lost 26, 11, and 12 with 2 steals on 64% shooting. The Nuggets are now 1-3. But let's give it up for Mick Porter. 40 minutes, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 4 triples, 2 blocks. You know I was pretty high on him this season. It's good to see Malone finally invest in him and give him the minutes that he really needs. And that's great. Monty Morris started without the headmaster Jamal Murray. 24 points in 37 minutes with 4 assists and 2 steals. If Murray is ever out, Morris is a great ad, but Murray doesn't look like it's going to be a long-term thing. I'd drop Will Barton. 10-teamers, get rid of him. 12s, I'd probably drop him too. 7 points in 22 minutes there. And Millsap had 5 points in 28. Millsap's fine as a 12-team back-end guy, but that's really it. Facu Campazzo jumped in with Murray out. He had 5 assists and 2 steals. That's his stream value, but when Murray returns, it's hard to justify him. While Gaz Harris had 11 points. I thought maybe Gaz might be back after last game.
Nice, Gary!
He's not. He's a 16-team league guy at this point. For the Kings, I talked that De'Aaron Fox was a buy low and he was going to bounce back. He had 24 and 10 with 2 steals and a block. Check that one off. Tyrese Halliburton, I think we had him in 12-team leagues. 13, 3 and 5, 3 steals, 3 threes. He looks really good. He still can't dribble for shit, but he fits in perfectly. Richaun Holmes played 32 minutes because he's good. 20 and 5, 2 steals and a block. Make sure he is not on any of your waiver wires. And the guy that can be on your waiver wires is Hassan Whiteside. I'll say this now, and I'm going to say it again, and it won't be the last time, because people keep asking me, Josh, why isn't Whiteside getting minutes? Josh, when's Whiteside going to get minutes? I tell you why he's not, because he's shit. He's really not good. Luke Walton gave some excuse, oh yeah, he's working his way back from a calf injury. I don't care. He's not good. 13 minutes, 6 and 5, drop Whiteside. Marvin Bagley, 18 points in 23 minutes. This was curious. Bagley played pretty well. He didn't do anything apart from score, but he played pretty well, and then his minutes were limited. Bagley so far is, I'll try and give you an updated number, just make sure all my things haven't quite updated just yet. But prior to this game, Bagley was the 217th ranked fantasy player in category leagues. Don't tell me you can't do better than that. In a 10-team league, you can do better. In a 12-teamer, depends who else is there, but he's just not that good. The pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. 13, 6, and 8. Those 8 assists are nice, but he's more of a 14-team league guy, while Bud Hield struggled a little bit, but 12 and 8 with 3 threes ends up being a nice performance. Really encouraging to see Fox, Halliburton, and Holmes put up some big, big numbers for this team. And yeah, just don't worry about the big fella, Hassan Whiteside. All right, so this is something I did on yesterday's show. I'm going to do it again today. Looking at, over the last 12 hours, the biggest change in the trending ads. Lou Dort, 5% increased advanced roster percentage. He's a 12-team league guy, even with his disappointment today. George Hill, I think a lot of people streamed him in for today, then he didn't play. I still think he's a baseline 12-team league guy, but I wouldn't be hesitating to drop him if I needed that spot. Naz Reid is up 4%. He's fine as a 12-team league guy as well. Cam Johnson's up 4%. Again, a lot of stream value or a lot of streamness there with him. I think he's more of a 14-teamer. Enes Kanter received a 3% boost. No way that you want him in 12s. Delon Wright was 2.9 and Bobby Portis was 2.6. Wright is fine for 12s. Portis is a deeper league guy. Kuzma at 2.6% increase. No way. No idea what the hell's going on with that. DeAndre Hunter at 2.3%. He's probably more 14-team, and Tyus Jones. Only a 2.3% increase for Tyus Jones, which was pretty intriguing. Halliburton's up 2%. That's going to go higher. I would add him in 12-team leagues, as I mentioned. And Lonnie Walker is up 2% as well. Not really sure why. People suggested maybe we should look at it from the other side of things. And Spencer Dinwiddie, 5.5% down. That's fine. He's a drop. Joe Ingles, 2.5% down. He's a drop. Daniel House, 2.5% down. He's a drop. Batum, 2.4%. He's a drop. Isaac Okoro, 2% down. I think he's a 12-team hold. Malik Beasley, 1.8% down. He is probably a drop. Carmelo Anthony at 1.8% down. He's a drop. Bismack Biyombo at 1.6. I don't really understand why he dropped down. He's a solid-ish hold, especially in 14-teamers. And then Shake Milton at 1.5% down. He is a drop as well. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying those segments. Let's now flip it over, look at DFS for a 6-game Wednesday in the NBA. All right, let's take a look at these games. The first one we look at is the Hawks and the Nets. Of course, KD and Kyrie will be returning for the Nets, while we don't know if the Italian cock Danilo Gallinari is going to play for Atlanta.
Hands off my cock!
Of course, that changes things for John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, maybe not for Clint Capella so much, Cam Reddish, Bogdan Bogdanovic. A lot of guys have some changing value there, according to that. I imagine Luwawu Cabarrot starts again, but the usage is not going to be the same for the Nets as it was in that game against the Grizzlies. He's at 4,200, Luwawu Cabarrot. Well, and I don't mind it. I just don't think it should be an absolute lock like it was the other day. 6,300 for LeVert, also not as locky as what it felt the other day because he is going to have KD and Kyrie taking the ball out of his hands. That's just what will happen. Joe Harris at 43. I like Harris a little bit there. But overall, this game, which the Nets are favored by 6.5 in, and the total is 240, which is a great total, I'm not sure there's a ton of great value here. Durant's at 9,500, which is a lot, and he hasn't quite been in that level of form. He's averaging, 41 so far. That's not great. Kyrie is at 9,400. He's averaging 44, they're all good numbers, and there's been blowouts involved in that. But you got to take that into consideration when you're drafting these Nets guys, that they are going to sit some of these games. I think John Collins at 68 is worth looking at. We know fouls have been a real problem for him. People are down on Collins, rightfully so. But at 6,800, there is some upside in having a crack and using him if others aren't going to be doing it. Jarrett Allen's at 5,700, and prior to whatever they did last game, he'd been getting that number relatively regularly. I wouldn't want to rely upon it, but I also think that there is something at least marginal, something in that in that price for Jarrett Allen if they decide eventually to give him just the bulk of the minutes. The Grizzlies and the Celtics, back-to-back here for Boston. Minimum salary Peyton Pritchard. He had 24 on Tuesday. He looked really good out there, and I think at minimum salary, you've got to include him. Marcus Smart's at 5,900, and for all Smart's struggles, he's still averaging 31 points over the last 3 on FanDuel, which is fine at that salary. Some decent value there. Kyle Anderson, there's no Ja Morant, remember. Kyle Anderson's at 6,200. He looks like an absolute cash lock to me. While the big men, Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice, they are low priced. Thompson at 4,100 probably has some cash value, but I'm not overly excited about them. I am with Jonas Valanciunas, 7,500 for JV, who's going to get a lot of shots. He's going to take a lot of shots and make a lot of shots. And at 7,500, I'm in on that. Jace Tatum at 92 is okay. It's not bad, but the back-to-back probably sours me just a little bit there. While Tyus Jones, they have ramped his salary all the way up, 5,800, and that is probably too high for me. If I'm going to take a flyer on someone, it's probably going to be someone like Grayson Allen at 37 or Johnny Conchar at 3,900, who knows how to fill the box score, but neither of those guys are super interesting options for us. The next game is a weird one. It's a back-to-back against the same teams, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat, and realistically, they didn't even play each other properly on Tuesday because it was a smashing. Will Jimmy Butler play? That's the big question. I still like Tyler Hero at 4,500 here, and I'm going to play it.
Everyone has a hero. True. 0 people shouldn't have a hero.
Now, if Butler plays, this shouldn't be that sort of a blowout, but DiVincenzo at 44, I don't love that one. Brook Lopez at 45 is a GPP guy. I like Bam at 82, but I'm not super into it. Same with Yanni at 11,800, who has been a little bit underwhelming.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
His numbers haven't quite been where we want them to be. I don't mind it as a GPP, but I'm not super into it. Drew Holiday at 64. The back-to-back probably is the only thing there that gives me pause. I'm not massively into that. I think we can have a look at, if you want to go real wild, KZ Okpala, minimum salary guy, started the second half on Tuesday. Does he start again in this one? I don't know. Avery Bradley at 4,000 could also be an option. They are some cheaper guys you can look at. Of course, Kendrick Nunn had that big one on Tuesday. Will he have that same impact when Butler plays? Probably not. But at, 3,700, he's worth at least throwing in for a GPP. I don't really like much there with Dunk Robinson either, whose game isn't particularly suited for DFS most of the time. Next up is the Lakers and the Spurs. LeBron is on the injury report.
LeBron James.
Whether he plays or not remains to be seen. Davis will play. Alex Caruso is out. Derek White is out, of course, for the Spurs. The The table, Montrezl Harrell, 5,800. Nice price for Harrell, who's been struggling. I wouldn't want to lock it in, but it is a good matchup. Centers have had some good luck against the Spurs. While Davis at 10-2, surely this is a game that he can finally break out and do something good. I like him, especially for GPPs. Dennis Schroeder at 61 looks strong. DeJounte Murray, they've bumped him up to 73. I think that's probably too high. Same with Keldon Johnson, who's had a $1,200 price rise, up to 5,800. I reckon we can spend 5,800 better than spending on Keldon. If LeBron plays, that 10,500 looks to be a pretty good price. Hard to get excited about LaMarcus Aldridge at 6,500, maybe in a tournament because people will be obviously wary about what's been happening with him, but I wouldn't want to invest in that. And of course, if LeBron is out, then Kuzma and Horton Tucker are going to be the biggest beneficiaries there. The Hornets and the Mavericks. The Mavericks are 7.5-point favorites here. Joshie Richardson is on the injury report as questionable. If he is out, we're looking at Tim Hardaway to get a boost, and probably Trey Burke as well. Burke at 3,800. Dwight Powell's at 38. He's just not really doing enough for me. In this game, there's some guys that might have some interesting value, like Bismack Biyombo at 46. I'm not super into it, though. I think Biyombo's ceiling is pretty limited. Same with Kleber and Finney-Smith and Powell, who are all sub 4,200. But yeah, what's the upside in those guys? It's low. I think Hardaway at 51 is the one we've really got to look at. There's great upside in that, especially if Richardson's out. Doncic is at 11.4, and he hasn't really got to that level yet. His high score's 48. You can throw him into a GPP. I'm not really sure how the Hornets are going to be able to match up against him. But at 11.4, there is some value there. Miles Bridges at 45. There is some good numbers from him lately. Not certain I want to spend that on him. Devontae Graham's at 59. That's a good cash play. Gordie Hayward at 78. Love what Hayward's doing. He's almost a 40-point guy every night at 7,800. That looks pretty tasty to me. While 6,400 for PJ Washington is probably just a little bit too high. The last game of the day is the Blazers and the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, we don't know if he's going to play. He missed on Tuesday. Gary Trent is also questionable, while Carmelo Anthony is probable. He'll be ready to go. Derek Jones at 3,700, just a tournament guy. And I think we can say the same about Nurkic, but I do have some faith in Nurk at 6,700. Covington, I was going to call him Covington. I don't know why. Covington's at 5,200. There is some value in him as a GPP guy. Same with Paul George, because people will be off Paul George, but he's 7,600. It's a good salary. 92 for Damian Lillard, similarly, is a pretty good price for Lillard. I don't expect Marcus Morris to play, and I also think that people will overreact to Gary Trent. Now, he is at 4,100, so maybe there's some value in him there, but yeah, you don't expect him to be a 7 threes a game sort of guy, because literally nobody is. That's it. That's the games. That's the 6 games for Wednesday. Small slate for Wednesday in the NBA. Don't forget, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. I'll be doing a live show tomorrow, 10:30. No, that's my time, 10:30 a.m. 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, previewing the games before they tip off. So make sure you're checking that out over on the YouTube channel, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.